Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I'm doing a full face using literal sample size products, the little gift with purchase Sephora Point Perk items, and we are doing a full face using only those items. So if that's something you're into, make sure to keep on watching and don't forget to subscribe because we're testing out a whole bunch of new products on a full face, and I would love to hear your opinions. Let me know, make sure you're subscribed, all that fun stuff. Let's jump right into it. Alright, so like I said in the intro, we're going to be doing a full face of minis and little sample sizes. Now my eyes are already done because I honestly don't have any sample size eye. I have travel size eye products, but they're not really like samples. And to me, every eyelash is a sample size. I did use the Rare Beauty mascara in a trial size, but I figured just so that this video wouldn't be like 1,000 years long, I was going to start with my eyes already done. Now that that is done, I am going to prime my skin. Today I'm going to use the Makeup Forever Hydra Booster Step 1 Primer. I've used some of their other primers, but not this one. So when it was in available sample size for me to try, I figured I would. It doesn't have a white color, but it does seem to have that like peachiness. So I'm hoping that it's going to like blur and perfect a little bit. I am going to take that on the whole face. And I am going to actually be pairing that with the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Foundation. Now, I have used this before. I already know I like the formula. I'm kind of in between shades, and I do have two in front of me. I have R230, which is actually what my New York shade was, so it's a little light. And I have Y335. So I'm going to grab a foundation brush, and I'm actually going to take like 2 pumps of the darker shade. And I'm going to go in with maybe 1 pump of the lighter shade. And I'm basically just going to like stamp that around and mix it right on my face. That's actually a really good match. This has been one of my favorite foundation formulas for a long time. When I used to do freelance makeup, this was one that I like to keep in my kit because I find that it is one of my favorite picks for bridal makeup because it photographs so beautifully. It really just looks like a second skin, even with buildable full coverage. And you know the drill, I like to apply with a brush and then go in with a sponge just to finesse the product around a little bit. And today is no exception. Now the one item I don't have in like a sample size is going to be concealer. So I'm just gonna grab a travel size concealer, or I guess the smallest concealer I have. This is the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define in the shade 6.5. For that, I'm going to go right into the sponge to blend it out. To set that down, I have a sample of the Silk Powder from Tatcha. So I'm going to just peel this open very carefully so that I don't get it everywhere. Grab a fluffy brush and really just set down everything. I have used a lot of sample powders before, and I think this one might be like the best presentation and packaging because like I can see the powder coming up, I can feel it, but it's not getting everywhere. It's on this little like sticky pad, and I think it's bringing everything on the face together quite nicely. All right, and while I wait for that to just kind of settle on the skin, I'm going to grab a mini travel size eyeliner from Makeup Forever. This is in Whatever Black. I'm going to throw a little bit of this on the waterline, finish up my eyes, and I'll be right back to go into the next sample product. All right, I am back. I threw on a quick brow as well because I didn't have a brow to go over. And we're going to jump into bronzer, blush, and highlight. For bronzer, I have a teeny tiny itty bitty baby Laguna bronzer from NARS. I'm going to grab that on a fluffy brush. And I'm going to take that, I'm going to grab a mirror that's not baby size. And I'm going to take this on the perimeters of the face and just bronze everything up. I definitely think the baby packaging makes it hard to really get a nice size bronzer brush in there. Like I'm putting it on with the tiny little under eye brush, and then I'm blending it out with the big brush. I love a big pan bronzer because I feel like it's really much easier to apply everything. But the formula is beautiful, so I obviously have nothing to complain about. But it would be a little bit easier to do if I had a larger pan. And that's kind of the fun part about videos like this is there are certain products that a travel size is really, really good for, like a mascara or a foundation. And there are things that clearly, you know, a travel size bronzer sounds really cool, but unless you're using it for like nose contour, you're not going to be able to get a giant fluffy brush into it. All right, I have two blush options. I'm going to use this one first, and I'm probably going to layer up another one. But this is the Rare Beauty Liquid Blush in the shade Adore. I think it's going to be really pretty. It might just be a little too pink. So I'm going to apply that right to the cheek. And I'm actually going to grab that same brush I used for my foundation and just stipple that into the cheek. I actually stand corrected. That's a really pretty color. It's definitely a little pinky, but with how warm the eyes are, I'm not mad at the color. Right away, this is not grabbing weird to powder. It's actually applying really nicely onto the skin. I'm going to switch over to a sponge just because that'll pick up a little bit of the extra product because I think I applied a tiny bit more than I wanted to. But that's kind of the occupational hazard when you try a product you've never used before, and I've never used this formula before. Once that's down, I'm going to take just the bronzer brush and just pat that over the top just so any residual powder will just kind of set that down. And I'm going to grab the Ciate London Matchmaker Glowy Blush as well. It's a little bit more luminous and a little bit more rosy pink. And I'm going to take that on my blush brush and just add a tiny bit of that to the cheeks, just to add a little bit of that lit from within glow before we go into highlighter. Speaking of highlighter, I'm going to be using Ice from Jouer Cosmetics. I don't love the metallic packaging because I feel like I get fingerprints all over it. It looks like it's a very frosty white color, which it kind of is. However, when I swatched this, because I wanted to make sure it wasn't going to look too frosty, I noticed that it really doesn't have a ton of pigment to it. It's just high shine. So when you apply it to the cheek, even though it looks like it's going to be a really frosty white color, it's really just a beautiful lit from within glow. I was definitely afraid that it was going to be like super frosty, and it absolutely isn't. I'm going to pop that same highlighter on the inner corner just because I feel like the eye needs a little bit of an inner corner highlight. Oh yeah. To lock all of this in place, I'm going to grab the Makeup Forever Mist and Fix O2 Spray Fixing Mist, and we're going to lock that in place. And as always, I'm going to take my sponge and just press the fixing spray. I almost said fisting spray. Holy crap. The fixing spray into my skin. And I have a couple lip options. I think I'm going to go with the Rare Beauty lip, although that might be a little pinky. I also have a tinted balm from NARS. I think with the color of the eyes, I'm going to go with the Confident lipstick. Definitely a mauvey pink. Oh, that's a really pretty color. And now that that's all together, that's the finished look. I think I'm really happy with how everything turns out. Obviously the bronzer tone is really nice. I do wish it was a little bit of a heavier application, but it's really hard with such a tiny little pan to get, you know, any real brush in there. So it's definitely making it a little bit pale for my... I'm going to grab a different bronzer just to build it up and show you what I mean. If I could get a big bronzer or a big brush into a bronzer, I feel like it just diffuses bronzer so much better when you can really load a brush up, and it just kind of sculpts the face so much better than with what I had to do with a tiny little baby brush. Which is funny, because when I first learned how to do makeup, this is the size brush I learned how to do bronzer with, but over time, I've naturally just kept gravitating towards bigger and bigger and bigger brushes, because I find it just diffuses the color so much better. There, already I think that looks so much better. So let me know, what do you guys think of today's look? Which products do you think worked out really well? And most importantly, which products do you think I should pick up a full size of? Right now, I'm going to be honest, I think the blush, liquid blush is having a moment, and I kind of want to get this in a deeper color, maybe a color that's a little bit richer, like a terracotta or even a burgundy, just to build it up a little bit more. The lip formula is really, really nice. I don't think I love the color, but other than that, everything feels really nice. Let me know your thoughts, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!